What's going on, guys? Ageless Eternal here, going over Oblivion Remastered. Almost said remake. So funny thing, it's actually pretty close to a remake in the sense of like they didn't like just I don't know put HD on it and said we're done. No, they actually went in and they actually improved more than just the graphics. And the graphics is remake level improvements as well, as you can clearly see from the gameplay. All in Unreal Engine. And we're going to talk about that. However, before we get to that, we're just going to talk about the pros, the cons, how the game feels, how it plays, obviously. Uh, we're just gonna go over we're gonna make some comparisons to Skyrim. And I'm not sure if everyone's gonna like that, but it's not gonna be like, oh, Skyrim is better. No, this actually has some things that are better than Skyrim, and I'm gonna talk about what I like more about Skyrim and what I like more about Oblivion Remastered so far. So to give a heads up, obviously you're seeing me playing the tutorial. This is actually my second character. I only made this second character because there was an issue that started to become more pronounced as I played with the first character. And so I'm going to get to that later and talk about what that issue is. Right now, I'm just going to talk about how great it is, the game. So, first of all, you're thrust into the character creator, and it's pretty standard. I would say I've looked at some comparisons of the old character creator uh, and the new one, and I'm going to say it seems like characters are, let's say, more conventionally smoother skinned, or like not really wrinkly looking in the original. And what I mean by that is like obviously there were some limitations to what they could do in the older technology, but it feels like they also purposefully added kind of like a I don't know, slight, very slight uglification. Like everyone kind of looks a little bit older than they should, if that makes sense. No one really looks youthful, and that includes your own character. Also, a change that I saw that is probably important for some people, less important for others, is they changed the male female to type 1, type 2. So that's a change in the character creator. Overall, though, aside from maybe the general lack of ability to make your character, let's say, not look a little bit wrinkly and old, something I like about this customization is it lets you kind of be more creative with it in some senses than, say, even Skyrim. So, for example, you can see in the gameplay that I'm playing a red skinned character, which you cannot do in Skyrim. There is no red skin that you can apply to your character, red tint, whatever. And that kind of gives me the ability in this game to kind of role play like, oh, I'm like a Dremora. I've escaped from one of the Daedric realms, and now I'm just some demon wandering the earth who's gonna conquer stuff or something like that. So that gives a little bit more role play variety. You can also give like an elf a blue skin tone or blue tint, so you could basically play a wood elf but with kind of like the look of a dark elf, because me personally, I prefer the look of dark elves, but also wanted the stats of a wood elf, so there's more generosity in that sort of sense with the character creation. On top of that, you're gonna see, like, unlike Skyrim, there is vast amounts of classes. There's like something about 6 to 8 classes for 3 different archetypes, that being combat, magic, and stealth. And I thought it was just nice to see this variety. You're not exactly limited to what these classes provide, but it is kind of a nice stepping stone forward of, okay, this is how I'm going to start, this is what I'm going to do. I would also recommend, as you pick your classes, that you take a look at what you might want to do. uh, let me rephrase that. There's different starting spells even among the different spell casting types, and casting those spells is how you level up those spells. So, for example, in my first playthrough, I played an agent, which is one of the stealth classes. And the one of the abilities I wanted was conjuration. Problem is, there's no summoning spells with that one, so you can't really learn conjuration all that quickly. You probably would need to go to a trainer. So again, picking your class is important, but it's also not going to cut you off entirely from what you might want to do. So there, on top of that, there's actually also a custom class option, which is pretty cool. Which basically, I'm not going to get too into it, but basically it'll let you pick your major skills and I think your minor skills or whatever. um Combat in this game is interesting. So it's been improved on from the original, but I think the combat, at least melee, is inferior to, say, Skyrim system. You can't dual wield. You can put a sword and a shield, but you can't dual wield. Um, Combos seem to be limited to 3 strikes. Power attacks feel a little bit wonky. Like you can't. It's a little bit difficult to gauge how far you're gonna go. Like if you do a forward heavy attack, it can be difficult to know. Is there enough distance for me to not get hit and then also move forward and hit this heavy attack? But I will say that, bows in this game. Yeah, I know in Skyrim there's the classic, oh, I'm gonna play this class. I'm gonna start with this, and then I end up a stealth archer. That's the most common joke meme class that everyone ends up being, no matter how they try to start, no matter what their intentions are. But I'll say in this game, the bow is actually, the combat for the bow does feel way more superior, and the reason for that is because spells don't require you to take up a whole hand, if that makes sense. They kind of work similar to the power system in Skyrim, where like you had like an ability or a shout that you could use, that you could change up. Also on top of that, if you really did want to change spells or to change from a bow to a sword, there is a quick swap option. I'm not sure if it was in the original Oblivion, but there's definitely an option where you can go through a quick scroll wheel without having to go through a whole menu, and you can just change your weapons in the middle of the fight, again without going through a menu and pausing and doing all that sorts of things. So it's really cool to just be able, like, again, to have it in a power slot, the spell, so that way when you're out with a bow, you don't have to like put the bow away and then you equip fire in your hand and then you just throw it out. No, as you can see in the gameplay, I have my bow out and I'm just slinging fire spells, and that is way more fun than it is in Skyrim. Not because I don't like the gameplay of Skyrim, or not because I don't like the flamethrower type spell, but because I just like how much more maneuverable this makes me feel in terms of what I'm using and when I'm using it. So, again, I think stealth archers are gonna kind of pop up again. Not even just stealth archers, but spell archers. Archers who predominantly like hybridize their class to also focus on magic, because it's just way more accessible than it's ever been. And sure, you can do that with melee too, but the problem with the melee is it feels a little bit weird. The timing feels off. Again, like the complaints I've issued before. So, while I think Skyrim has the edge in terms of melee combat, um, I, as I've shown, as I've told you, Oblivion has the edge in terms of bow and casting combat or hybrid combat. But another bonus I've got to give to Oblivion is, honestly, just like the immersion of like how it's an RPG. It has a lot more immersive choices. There's a bartering system, unlike in Skyrim. You can haggle for prices. You can there's like a persuasion sort of thing you can do to ease. Like, there's a persuasion mini game. Honestly, I don't know why it's there half the time, because I don't know what options I'm trying to persuade people. If you play the game, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, why can I use persuasion on a guard or on a beggar, when they have like no options of like, can I persuade you to not do something or to do something for me? So like it makes much more sense when it's, say, a barkeeper or a shop owner. It can help you maybe haggle down the prices. There are some people in some quest lines you have to convince, but aside from that, it's just, it doesn't make much sense why everyone is technically persuadable, but it's there. And it does make you a little bit more immersed in, this is an RPG and I have choices. The one thing though where I really have to maybe give the edge to Skyrim is, well, the exploration feels a lot more impactful in Skyrim. Like, in Oblivion, it's weird. I know, like, you can say like, oh, you're choosing to fast travel. Here's the thing: in Skyrim, you have to visit a place before you can fast travel there. In Oblivion, as soon as you exit the tutorial, you can fast travel wherever. And so I know, again, it's my choice whether I use that fast travel. But on the other hand, like, if you give me the option to avoid the 15-minute walk, uh, then I'm probably going to take it, especially when I don't know what's there. As soon as you exit the tutorial, there's nothing like there was in Skyrim, I would say, that like Skyrim kind of gives you a yellow brick road, at least at the very beginning, for the first few quest steps. In Oblivion, it's kind of like you exit the tutorial, and what happens is it gives you a marker, and that marker is, I don't know, 15-30 minutes out. Now, I know there's probably stuff in between, but just with the art direction of this remaster, I I I kind of feel lost, if that makes sense. I kind of feel like everything looks the same. I don't know where to go, and yes, I could explore, but like it's just like, where am I going? You know, what am I doing other than just going to the markers and fast traveling? Skipping more towards the end of the tutorial, I just wanted to show you the problem I was talking about earlier, the reason why I switched to this second character, which was I noticed a whole lot of this on my first character. And if you didn't notice it, rewind. It's basically just a whole lot of stutter, a whole lot of inability to do anything. It kind of depends on where you are. The tutorial is the most stable. This character has had a little bit of a better time than my first character, but at some point you're probably going to encounter the stuttering, which goes on to my point of that I want to make here, which is that Oblivion is great when it works. But right now there's clearly some optimization that they need to do. And honestly, I hope they do it soon, because while there's some ups and downs where sometimes Skyrim is a little better at one thing, Oblivion's a little better at another thing, I really want to enjoy this game and I really want to give it my time. I think the studio, what was it, Virtuous Studios or something like that, they did a great job with this remaster, remake, whatever. Bethesda, did a great job at doing what they do, which is give someone else the game so that they can make it better than Bethesda ever would have made it, just like, Fallout New Vegas. But, again, this is a great game. It's being held back by this performance issue. I really hope they fix it quick, because it's amazing. And I think if you like Skyrim, melee combat aside, if you did the bow and the arrow thing most of the time, you're going to absolutely love Oblivion. It is a huge improvement on that playstyle. And if you need any more confirmation that the bow wielding spell slinger type is the superior class in this game, well then, let me inform you that you can summon this to fight for you, and you can stay in the back shooting enemies, all while having a great view. Jokes aside, I hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe if you did, or don't subscribe. Comment if you liked or hated the video. I'd love to hear any opinions you guys might have. Maybe it'll help me improve, maybe it won't. Obviously, I'll have more content in the future, not strictly Oblivion. So I hope you stick around and see what I'm capable of. Anyways, Ageless Eternal out, and have a good one.